Is Mitch Haniger going to be a sunk cost for the Seattle Mariners in 2025, or is he going to look to rebound going into this season? Joe and I will talk about that before talking about a possible extension for Logan Gilbert and what it might cost the Mariners to extend him. And we'll wrap it all up by talking about everything that I've been doing down here in Peoria, what I've seen, and what I need to share with you guys so far. Thank you guys so much for watching episode 169 of the Hit It Here podcast, part of the Bleav Network, the Ned episode of the podcast. I met Ned the game today on Wednesday out by the rolled ice cream and chatted with him a little bit. So shout out to Ned. Appreciate you stopping and saying hello. And I am here with the renewed Washingtonian,
a once
Joseph Lacey.
a once displaced Washingtonian in California. I have returned to evergreen trees and rain and everything, and I'm in.
That's a cool background.
Yeah, it's you can't even see it. Don't shut up. You can't see me right now. Yeah, it's a pretty okay background. You know, a friend of mine, you guys might know him. He allowed me to use his background and his setup because I cannot use mine yet. Unpacking and moving it's always a fun time, but we're here, episode 169. We're not missing a podcast, even if I'm in a different setup, even if Colton's in an entirely different state. Something that we would definitely not miss, Colton, is if Mitch Haniger could have some sort of bounce back offensively in 2025, we wouldn't miss it. You know what I mean? Like, we wouldn't. Right. It'd be a good thing,
Really
is what I'm trying.
transition.
It was what I'm trying to get at there. There was an article that Divish put out this morning. We're recording this on Wednesday, about Haniger's offseason and what he kind of expects to see himself, kind of his role with the team going forward. We know the outfield is set pretty much with Randy, Julio, and Victor. Obviously, Luke Raley can play a part in that if first base gets a little funky, however that kind of shakes out. So Haniger, he himself knows that he doesn't really have that same spot. Dipoto made a comment that Divish put in this article about, like, you've got three right-handed outfielders as your starters. There's not really more at-bats to give to another right-handed hitting outfielder. So Mitch Haniger, at the end of last season, when he wasn't playing very well, lost some of his playing time. And there was like glimmers of hope. Seemed like there was some spark every once in a while in 2024 for Mitch, but you're going to need a little bit more out of him in 2025. And if it's mainly as a DH, I think that's where his role will kind of naturally fit in. And the topic of this article is just about Mitch himself said he wanted to get back to being strong, working on like strength training and everything this offseason. And the title of the article is, Can Mitch Haniger rediscover his strength and swing to help the Mariners? Colton, Mitch Haniger not being a sunk cost is a tall task for 2025. But you know, we saw the homer in spring. Spring training games matter. We saw the homer, a pretty big blast. I'm not optimistic, and I don't know many people that are, about Mitch, and maybe it's just he himself and the body of work that he tries to carry within himself that is gonna kind of propel that optimism for him going forward. If he is a productive DH and he has an OPS plus of 100, sure, it's not a great $17 million spent, but it's better than the alternative, which was 2024, where he was worth negative value.
Yeah, he was worth negative 0.2 wins in 2024, according to Baseball Reference. A fall from grace from the 6.5 wins, by the way, that he was worth in 2018 with a 139 OPS plus. I don't know, man. I mean, yeah, Mitch is one of the hardest workers in the clubhouse. We know that. The injuries really derailed his career. He's 34. It's not like he's getting younger. He shouldn't be playing defense for you. I understand where this article is coming from, right? Because if Mitch is a league average bat, which isn't a tall task necessarily, as long as he is not as bad as he was in 2024, then we are looking at a decent bench bat. Unfortunately, there is nothing that is telling us over the past 2 years that he's going to be any better than he has been. I mean, his past 2 years, he had 209 in 23, 208 in 2024, and a 74 OPS plus in 23, and an 84 in 24. So I guess it's going up, technically, after 1 year. But I don't know, man. It's yes, it would be great to have Mitch come back. Maybe just ride whatever the hot Mitch is. Just ride the hot Mitches. and have
Okay.
them be your DH. Either way,
Hmm.
that's a Mitch slap of truth right there. I think that Mitch has a chance to be a veteran leader, be a vocal leader, like we've talked about. There's also just as much of a chance that he is off of this team before the season even starts. And I doubt the Mariners would do that. I doubt that they would try to just DFA him. We talked in a video recently about a trade of Mitch Haniger, possibly to the Miami Marlins.
Hmm.
But yeah, there's really not a lot of wiggle room here for Mitch, and I just don't see how it could happen.
Even if he isn't off the team completely, and he's not, I guess, performing super well, there is some sort of value to be had with a clubhouse kind of leader guy. And it's not a great clubhouse leader when they're not performing well. That's definitely a caveat. That's a bit of a challenging, I guess, like it's a tough pill to swallow. Like when you have a guy that is a vocal leader, is someone that's respected in the clubhouse. Dan Wilson in this article, it's has a quote saying he's been around the league and has a ton of experience. He can really help a club by bringing that leadership and providing that mentorship to a lot of guys. Yes, it's just when he's not performing well, it's sometimes maybe that's in one ear out the other. And I hope that's not necessarily the case. I would hope that the clubhouse is a bit closer than that. And there's some, I don't want to say like respect for your elders in a sense for Mitch Haniger. But if he's not performing well, the clubhouse leadership, sure, it's fine. It's just, it would be better if he was performing well. You know what I mean? Like, and that's easy to say for everything of just as far as clubhouse leaders are concerned and the guys that are the main vocal people in the clubhouse. Colton, one of those guys transitions. Logan Gilbert, I think he's stepping into his own as far as being a vocal leader on the club in the clubhouse, but mainly for like the pitching staff side of things. Obviously, Robbie Ray, not on the team, traded for Mitch Haniger, was a pretty big vocal guy. But you have veterans like Luis Castillo, and you could look towards the bullpen. And I don't know if there's necessarily like a big vocal outcry there as far as leadership is concerned. I would have assumed Seawald could have been someone like that, but you look at the pitching staff. Kirby doesn't really seem like a vocal leader. Doesn't really seem like that's his kind of forte. So on the pitching staff, and it's like, and then outside of that, it's Miller and Wu, who, not to put any discredit to them, incredible content that they put out the other day with Miller being mic'd up and hey, Big Salt is, oh, it was so good. Such a good video. Such a fun video. But looking at the pitching staff, I'd say Logan Gilbert is the most maybe qualified or just the most likely to be a vocal leader. One that if you get him to stay with this organization, and it seems like something that he's not opposed to, he said it numerous times at this point that he is interested in being in Seattle long term, getting an extension for him. That could go a long way as far as having the leadership start with the manager, obviously with Dan Wilson and him at the helm and all the coaching staff, everything with that. And then it trickles down into the players and like having a good set of core players that are good vocal leaders for your team that are trusted individuals within the clubhouse. They've been there, done that. Logan Gilbert seems like such a prime candidate to be that guy for a long time for the Mariners. And an extension conversation, I think, is one that we need to have, Colton.
I think that also just his body of work and the amount of work that Logan puts in every offseason should speak volumes for a lot of the younger guys on the staff. They should all strive to be like Logan Gilbert in the offseason because he's always tinkering with something, but he's also just always trying to get better. We know, I mean, we've seen him go through, he's got, what is it, his bag of toys that he has. He has like the weird water ball thing.
Yeah.
And like he just has a ton of different like arm care stuff. And it's one of the reasons why Logan stays healthy. And I think that in a day and age where we are seeing more pitchers than ever get Tommy John surgery, the Mariners starting staff, who threw the most innings in baseball, by the way, should really be looking to what it is that Logan Gilbert does day in and day out to take care of his body and take care of his arm. And because of that, yeah, I think that he should be the face of that rotation moving forward. Now, people are going to ask who should get the ball on opening day. I think Logan deserves it, but I think Luis. I mean, Luis is the rock. He's the head of that. Logan's the best pitcher on the staff, but Luis is the guy. In the end, it doesn't really matter. Who cares? I think it should just be Luis. I would rather just have it be. Not it's neither here nor there, but Logan Gilbert, an extension for him. He has 2 more years of arbitration after this year. So you'd have him through 2026, you'd have him through 2027. He'd be a free agent going into the 2028 season. And an extension would look like buying out those last 2 years of arbitration, that you maybe leave this year's, like it's possible that you leave this year's money in tax. He's making like 7.6 million, and it starts after this year since this contract's already been agreed upon. And you and I talked about it a little bit beforehand, Joe. Somewhere between like 20 and like 22-ish million, we think could maybe get it done for Logan on like a 5-6 year deal, maybe with like some options or something like that at the very end. We don't really, I mean, who knows, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was his market value? You said it was 27?
No, 20.7.
Oh, 20.7. Okay, so
20.7.
we both kind of agreed that he would probably get 25 plus on the open market if he was to hit it like this offseason, this coming offseason. Just based on what we saw other guys get. We saw Luis Severino get 22. Logan's a better pitcher than Luis Severino. Obviously, that was with the A's. It's a whole different ballgame there. But, we saw what Corbin Burns got or Max Fried. I think that Logan he's not there yet, but he is approaching that conversation of being like Max Fried and having the potential to make, I'll get an 8-year deal with the most storied franchise in baseball history, So I think that that's a really good starting place for Logan. Now you could defer some money. Yeah, right. But you could backload the contract a little bit. And that's something that we talked about, Joe. What would be the best time for them to start deferring that money?
Wow. Throwing me on the spot. We talked about it. I don't know if we reached a final conclusion because with Castillo's kind of, right? It's like Castillo's money is 24 million. Whether or not they trade him once his no trade clause is up in the offseason of 2026, start of the year 2026, that's when his no trade clause is up. Maybe that going into the 2027 season or something could be where if you get creative with the contract for Logan, say it is for 5 or 6 years, we'll call it 22 million. So we'll say he signs a 6-year, $132 million deal to stay with the Mariners until his age 34 season, something like that. That 2027 season, maybe that's where Logan gets like a decent pay raise from the 2026 to 2027 season. Say he makes like 18 in 2026 and then he'll make 30 in 2027. And then you can kind of like spread it out after that. It's building out a contract is weird. It's not something that, because every single contract is going to be different, whether there's no trade clauses, whether there's certain incentives, whether there's injury risk things built in. Like I know Castillo's got like an ACL thing in there, or not an ACL. What's
UCL. Or collateral ligament.
That thing. It's a different vowel. It's one of the vowels. It's close enough. At least it's not the ECL or something silly like that. ICL, I can't lie. I'm just
get on with it, man.
I'm just spitballing here. I think that getting Logan on an extension, it's not the thing that I think a lot of fans would want necessarily. I think there's fans that would want it, but you look at the money being spent in-house versus them doing it in free agency. I think the majority of fans would probably prefer them to spend in free agency, just in the sense that you're not really changing the complexion of the roster as a whole if you do extend Logan Gilbert. The argument there is, well, yeah, you're changing the complexion of the roster in, when he would hit free agency. Then he's still with the team. He's still a consistent 32 starts a year, 190 to 200 innings, a 3 to 4, maybe at his peak, a 5-win pitcher based around WAR. I don't know if you'll ever reach a peak like Max Fried did in 2022, where he was a 6-win pitcher, and maybe that's why Max Fried would get 27 million from the Yankees, whereas Logan, maybe when he hits open market, he'd only get 25. But regardless, if you can get him and buy out 2 of his arbitration years with this contract, I don't know. It doesn't have to reach 25 because he hasn't really reached that value himself. And I don't necessarily think that the Spotrac market value is wrong. 20.7. It's likening himself to pitchers like Pablo Lopez, who got a 4-year, $73.5 million extension, 18.3 AAV. He signed that when he was 27. Logan Webb, 5 years, 90, so 18 million. Signed that when he was 26. Joe Musgrove's probably the closest one here as far as age and maybe like the average potential, but he signed a 5-year, $100 million, so $20 million a year. But there's been injury concerns with Musgrove. Obviously, he got injured at the end of last year. He's going to miss all of 2025. Logan, he's been healthy. So I think that's an argument to be made for him as well. I don't really fully care how much the money is for an extension for Logan Gilbert. I would want an extension to be done for him because I think his value goes deeper than, say, his 3-win value by where he's making 20 million. Like it's deeper than that. There's more value to it than in keeping that core group together. And sure, maybe that seems like a frivolous way to spend money, like the friends we made along the way. But I don't know. I think being able to extend someone outside of Julio in this window of contention during this regime of Dipoto and Hollander, I think would speak volumes to, I guess, the not necessarily reparation, like the way that they've fixed their relations with the players and the clubhouse, because it hasn't been great in the past. I think this would go a long way to kind of rebuilding that bridge. Maybe you get an extension done with Cal after that, because obviously Logan and Cal are like best buds, two peas in
I
a
want
pod.
it same day.
Same day, just drop him
So
bubble,
sick.
just drop him double. Awesome. So I don't know.
So cool.
It would be really cool. I think Logan is the one that makes the most sense. Obviously, he's the closest to being a free agent of like the groups that are still in arbitration, like George, and then Miller and Wu obviously have not entered arbitration yet because of service time. But still, Logan Gilbert, extend the man. I don't care if he makes 20 million. That I think, like looking at the rest of the league, like you said, Luis Severino, Gilbert at 20 million, where the market's going to be by the time he would reach free agency, I think is money well spent given his body of work, like you said.
And people will argue like, oh, why don't you just re-sign him then when he becomes a free agent and spend money now on other players? And it's simply because other teams will be vying for his services, and in the end, money talks. And if a team comes out and starts offering him $27 million a year, he's probably going to go there. Now, that's not always the case, obviously, but it's a strong factor for the Mariners if they're able to re-sign Logan Gilbert or extend Logan Gilbert. Not only does it lock in a number one in your rotation for the next 6 years, but also it, like you mentioned, kind of builds some goodwill with this team. We know, and this is something that Lyle and TJ and I talked about actually earlier today. This team has been rough on its veterans. Like it's been rough. They traded Robbie Ray away quick. There were talks about trading Luis Castillo. Like if you're Logan Gilbert, you get that no trade clause. It has to be in there because you need to control your own destiny at that point. And Logan, I think he's a guy who has said he wants to be here. He's a guy who said that he wants to be a Mariner forever. It's legitimately, those are words that have come out of his mouth before. Like all he's ever known is Cal catching Pete Woodworth as his pitching coach. It's all he's ever known, and he loves it. Extend Logan, build some goodwill, and if the team sees that you're starting to try to spend money and keep this core around, great. Then maybe you're able. I don't think you're going to get George to sign an extension.
Probably not. Yeah. He seems like he's already 1 foot out the door. And that's no discredit to George Kirby. He probably just has different aspirations for his career and like things that he values. Maybe he doesn't value what Logan, like people are different. They're always going to make different decisions because that's just human nature.
George to me feels so much like a New York Yankee
or a Met, either one. He's going to New York.
I think a Met. I just think that he's also a guy who hates like cameras and stuff like that in his face.
Mm.
And I don't think that would go very well for him in New York. But neither here nor there. Yeah, it's an interesting conversation to have. I think that it would build a lot of goodwill with the fan base if they can extend a fan favorite like Logan Gilbert. They did it with Julio, like you said. This is why we've seen teams, specifically, I think the one to point out is the Braves, extend players when they're young.
Mm-hmm.
So they have a cost control. They know what they're going to get out of these players money-wise, like monetarily. And that's something the Mariners did with Evan White. It didn't work out, but that should not scare them from doing it with other guys that are younger than Logan Gilbert. Like, if the Mariners came out tomorrow and told me that they signed Cole Young to like a 10-year, like, I don't know, $50 million contract, I'm not mad at that.
Sure. 10 years is 10 years is a long time, but I get what you're saying though. Yeah. Given like your expectations for him as a player. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think he'd probably be dumb to sign that, but
he would be. That's a hell of a deal. What was it that Michael Harris signed? Or was it Acuna?
It's Acuna's 7-100 million, 7-year $100 million, where he's an MVP candidate perennially when he's healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I get where your
crazy
head's at
deal.
though. I get where you're going.
Mhm. Yeah, but yeah, maybe my evaluation was a little off, but yeah, I think that signing Logan would be a good idea. Um, Joseph,
Coltsif.
let's switch gears here. I actually want to hear a little bit about how things are going for you with the move back up here because the people saw your video and a lot of people were worried. A lot of, 'cause naturally so, based on how the video was laid out
Sure.
and the thumbnail, whatnot. Bit of a little bait and switch here. So this is your moment. All right. What do you have to say to the people?
I guess I'm sorry for being a good actor to some of you. Um, I always had an idea of like, so I've known that I was gonna move since August, probably. I've known that the timeline there, so I've been holding that in for, you know, 6 months, a long time to kind of keep something under wraps. And you
I'm
talked
surprised
about,
we did it.
I know, you talked about it on stream, what, yesterday, like how we've almost slipped up a couple times here and there,
Mhm.
but, or I've definitely dropped like winks, like kind of like tongue-in-cheek comments over the past couple of months, like, yeah, like we can definitely do 2 meetups this year. I'm definitely going to be at opening day, knowing full well that I'm just going to be in Washington because I'm moving.
Mhm.
So yeah, I don't know, it's exciting. I'm happy, like overall with the move. There's just headaches after headaches with certain aspects of it with like the living situation, but yeah, I don't know. When I had the idea of the video of like what I wanted to do, I just wanted to do something fun, something creative. And
A great video.
sure, I mean, it wasn't really anything outside of, I don't know, it wasn't super special in my head. It was just kind of the path that I took. And I understand. I mean, I literally set it up that way. I wanted it to be kind of like a keep you on the edge of your seat. What's really happening here? Pull back the curtain. Maybe the car and the first part of it where what does that mean? Does that mean he's leaving the channel for good? Does that mean he's moving? What does that mean? And I know like Dorian said that he was pretty keen to the idea. And I tried to get a little choked up in my voice a little bit during the first part just to see if it could come out sounding a little natural.
Dude, some of the comments, I
I
thought Colton was dead.
It's like, guys, why would I
I've been
announce it that way? Like, there are many other things I would do before that.
I thought you had a terminal disease.
Like, I mean, I appreciate the concern, guys, but ultimately, it would have definitely been done in a different manner. And I don't know if that says something about us in the way that we handle our business or the general public. I'm not really certain, but no, the overwhelming positive response, the fact that that video, for people that don't know how YouTube works, over the last 10 videos, YouTube will rank your video from 1 to 10, 1 being the most viewed in the last 10 videos. And I don't know if it's still there because it fluctuated between 1 and 3, I
Oh,
think.
look.
But it was a 1 of 10. It's the most viewed video of our last 10 that we've posted over the time frame that it had been published. And I don't know if it's still there, but it was for a while. And my heart immediately sank because I was like,
Number
it's
two.
it's a 2 of 10. Okay. My heart
Tied, actually tied with number one.
okay.
So
So yeah, it's just like why on earth is like a silly update video like that getting so many views? But it shows that you guys care, and that's exciting to me for the most part. Maybe it is a little bit of a bait and switch, and that's my bad, right? That's where the for the most part comes in, because maybe I did clickbait a little bit, but it's all part of the game, baby. It's all part of the game.
he's not honest for a second up here.
Yeah, honesty's for the
Honesty's for
birds,
the
baby.
birds, maybe.
That's pretty much it for me. Like, I don't know. I've gone to the river once already. W river walks. I'm excited to get those back going. But I don't know. I can't really do a whole lot because I'm just unpacking some of my stuff, helping move some other stuff around, and then I'm gone to Arizona on Friday for a week. And then I have a couple days before I start work again, and that's when I'll start setting stuff up. But before that happens, Colton, I'm in Peoria. I'm there. You gotta shave my head live Saturday on the channel.
Bring a shaver.
Bring a shaver?
I didn't bring one.
Okay. We can't just go buy one.
I mean, I guess we can.
Yeah, either way. Maybe I'll bring mine. I don't know. I probably will. It'll be charged. But I got to get there to Peoria first. And there's some stuff that I've missed out on. Well, you've been down there for 2 days now, Colton. What's the apps? What's going on? How's Peoria been? Maybe outside of the hotel room?
Yeah. So for those of you that don't know that weren't there for the stream or the because we've also make sure you're following us on Instagram at Mojo Mariner. I've been live streaming the backfield like batting practice and stuff. I'd love to do it on here, but they play music in the background that would be copywritten on YouTube that would get us like in trouble. So I can't do it on YouTube. Let's just let Joe mention the hotel. I just got to talk about it. This is the worst hotel I've ever stayed in. I have no other way to describe it. So I'm staying in an extended. Don't stay in the extended stay America Select Suites, Sun City West. Don't do it.
Why are you like doxing yourself?
I don't care if people know where I am. They'll walk in here and be like, "Oh nope." So the first sign should have been when I pulled up and there was a fire truck out front. That should have been sign number one. That hey, and all the reviews that I read prior when I first booked this place should have been sign number one. Then when I walked in and it smelled like somebody lit a cigarette in a pile of poop, maybe that should have been sign number two. Sign number three was when I drove back from the game today and I parked next to a exterminator truck. So
It's written on the walls, basically. That's what you're saying.
In poop. There's a reason why this hotel is cheap, but you know what? It gives me a place to record. It gives me a place to sleep. And the way that my days have been going, if I had to outline it, and I've only been here for a few days now, but last 2 days, I get up at 7:45, 8 a.m., take a shower, eat a little brekkie, go to the backfields. Usually get there around 9:10, 9:15. They open at 9 for any of you that are coming down here. Joe, they open at 9. And I basically just go set up. I set up my tripod, my camera, and I record footage. And I don't know what I'm going to do with that footage yet. I'm going to use it in something. Like I have a video that I want to make about Lazaro Montes that I've gotten some good footage of him. And then I'll do batting practice and I'll just live stream batting practice on Instagram. And I basically will do that until I got to go to the game. Today was easy because the game was in Peoria, but not every game I've gone to has been. So yesterday I had to drive down to Glendale, Camelback, which wasn't a terrible drive, but nonetheless. And so and then I get home around like 4-ish Arizona time, and then I either record like we're doing right now, or I stream, which I'll probably do in like an hour or two after we finish recording this. And that has been my week so far. It's just been a lot of that.
Content, baby.
It's just been content. So it's been busy, but my goodness, it's been cool. I'm exhausted, but it has been cool. There's just been like I met up with Lyle and TJ. I was like literally 5 feet from Justin Hollander. Like he was just chatting up Mike Salk. And yeah, there was just a lot of just cool moments so far that's been like, wow. And I was saying on stream, I don't know how much it's really hit me yet, but like when I was driving to the store, like after I took a fat nap day one, I was driving to the store and I was like, whoa, I'm here.
This is my life for the next 30 days.
Yeah, I'm like, this actually happened. Because I booked this back in like July, but I wasn't 100% positive it was going to happen. Like, because it's just such a big commitment.
Mm-hmm.
And we're making it happen, man. So there's definitely been some bumps along the road, which doesn't surprise me, but I've got a fridge with food in it, man. I got a bed to sleep in. I got a place to record, and I am watching baseball from 9 a.m. till 4 p.m. Like, what more could you ask for? Again, I'm exhausted, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
That's like your definition of like a perfect day. If only your hotel didn't smell like garbage, then you could really like tie it all together and be like, this is like a premier experience. And learn, like, as you said, bumps in the road, things to learn, things to grow with. If we do this next year in some capacity, similarly.
Yeah, you actually need to come with me.
Listen, pal, okay? First of all, maybe not the whole time. A month is crazy, bro. I mean, the original idea behind this was you were saying like, oh, I'm just going to drive down there and stay in my car for 30 days. Like a madman. Like that would have been.
Honestly, would smell better.
But Maybe on like day like 7 it wouldn't after sitting in your car and fermenting that bad boy for a week straight. But no, like the bumps in the road, it's expected. Next year or in the year's future to not book that place that you might have to.
If I survive.
Sure, exactly, right? It's, you kind of you pay for what you get in that sense. It's like you paid for a pretty cheap hotel, you're getting a pretty cheap hotel, and that's just that's the nature of the game. But I mean, the support on Instagram's been really cool. We're up by like 40, 50 followers like just in the last like 24, 48 hours. So that's really cool. At Mojo Mariner if you're not already following. We have definitely been lacking on that in previous time frame, and if now's a good chance to really get it going and growing a little bit, not a bad time to do it. And you've been doing a really good job just kind of putting stuff out there. I mean, I saw you post on Twitter like, "Hey, follow us there," kind of a thing, using the different branches of social media to kind of bring everyone together to where they can find the content that you're kind of producing out there. Because, like you said, doing it on YouTube's a little bit more difficult. We'll see how that changes. Like when I'm down there, how
when we have 2 phones.
Yeah, more opportunity to do like maybe I can interact with the chat. Like I don't know. We'll kind of see how it goes because, I mean, for the 6 days that I'm there, it's gonna be same vibe. Just there's an extra person now.
There's 2 of us. Yeah. So that'll be exciting. I mean, overall, I think the goal for this month is just get you guys the best content we can, while in turn growing our own brand, like growing Mariner Mojo. And to do that, I think it's to bring the fans exactly what they want. And so if you guys have any ideas what you want to see while we're down here, like for example, somebody wants us to do like food reviews. Okay. Like Joe and I might just go around to different restaurants. Joe's fat. He loves that.
Do they
like,
not mean
go around to different restaurants?
Do they mean restaurants or do they mean like food at the park?
I don't know. Por qué no los dos?
What, we're gonna go like Buca de Beppo and like have a nice meal?
Yes. Yeah, dude, there's a pretty there's like a steakhouse down here that looks really expensive we can go to.
Yeah, we really will fit in there.
Be candlelit, yeah.
And some Hawaiian shirts and cargo shorts look really good. They're gonna kick us out because we don't fit the attire.
But if you guys have any idea of what else you want to see us do, or me, because obviously I'll be down here after Joe leaves, I'll still be down here. So like if you guys have any ideas what you guys want to see, please let us know in the comments down below, because I just want to bring the most content possible. Like I've considered posting on YouTube like 2-3 times a day.
Do it.
And I'm like, that's just not good. I shouldn't do that.
Why not?
At least not like actual videos, because it's bad for the algorithm.
Short form.
Ugh, I'm gonna throw up. I have actually been recording things vertically for short form. So yeah, but we'll see how it goes. I would love to have closer access. Hopefully next year, we'll be able to get like media passes and be able to do that, because I would love to do exactly what I'm doing, but just do it from a media perspective.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like just do it where I have much closer access, which I think would be cool. But I don't know. So just let us know in the comments down below what you guys want to see. We appreciate you guys watching episode 169, nice, of the Hit It Here podcast, and go Mariners.